Ethan Miller sat nervously in his small apartment, staring at the text on his phone. His co-worker, Laura, had insisted he go on a blind date, promising him that the girl was smart, funny, and unlike anyone he had ever met. Ethan had agreed mostly out of curiosity. He had never been very successful with dating, preferring his routines and quiet evenings to chaotic social events. But tonight, he thought, maybe it would be different. He checked his watch. 7:30. The restaurant was just a few blocks away. Ethan grabbed his jacket and stepped outside, feeling the chill of the early evening. The city lights flickered as he walked, and he tried to calm the nerves twisting in his stomach. He reminded himself that this was just a dinner, nothing more. No expectations, just a chance to meet someone new. When he arrived at the restaurant, a small, cozy place with soft lighting and wooden tables, he noticed her immediately. She was seated at a corner table, reading something on a small device. Her hair was long and dark, and her eyes, they were striking. Not just their color, but the way they seemed to observe everything at once. She looked up and smiled when she noticed him. Ethan felt a sudden warmth, a strange mix of nervousness and curiosity. "Ethan Miller?" she asked, her voice calm and confident. "Yes," he said, standing awkwardly. "Hi, I'm Ethan." "Lyra," she said, standing to shake his hand. Her grip was firm, yet gentle. "Thank you for coming." They sat, and the conversation began with the usual awkward questions about work, hobbies, and favorite movies. But soon, Ethan noticed something unusual. Lyra seemed to know a little too much about the world. She mentioned books he had never heard of, ideas that seemed advanced for ordinary human knowledge. She spoke of stars, planets, and civilizations beyond Earth, casually, as if they were common knowledge. Ethan laughed nervously. "You really know a lot. Are you some kind of scientist or teacher?" "Something like that," Lyra said with a small smile. "I like to learn about everything. I think it helps to understand people." She paused for a moment as if weighing her next words. "Even humans." Before Ethan could respond, the restaurant shook violently. Plates rattled, glasses clinked, and people screamed. Ethan froze, unsure of what was happening. Lyra reacted instantly. She grabbed his arm and pulled him under the table just as a shelf collapsed near them. Ethan stared at her wide-eyed. What just happened?" "Don't ask questions right now," she said calmly. "Just trust me." When the shaking stopped, Ethan realized no one else had moved as quickly. The staff and patrons were in shock, but Lyra had already helped several people out from under debris. He had never seen anyone so composed in a crisis. They stepped outside, and the night air felt strange, almost electric. Sirens wailed in the distance, and a few emergency vehicles arrived. Ethan wanted to ask her more, but the words caught in his throat. "Why did you react like that?" he finally asked. Lyra looked at him, her eyes reflecting the city lights. "I have to be careful. There are things you don't understand yet. I just wanted tonight to be normal for both of us." Ethan frowned, confused. "Normal? I don't understand." She shook her head gently. "Some things are better revealed slowly. You don't need to know everything tonight." They walked to her car, a sleek, unusual vehicle that seemed out of place in the parking lot. Ethan noticed the way people stared, but Lyra ignored them. She drove with a precision that was almost inhuman, smoothly navigating the streets as if she knew every detail of the city. "So this is just a blind date?" Ethan asked, trying to lighten the tension. Lyra smiled faintly. "That's what you thought, yes. But sometimes blind dates are more revealing than they seem." Ethan laughed nervously, unsure if she was joking. The ride was quiet for a while, and Ethan tried to calm his racing thoughts. He had never met anyone like Lyra. There was something different about her, something powerful and yet gentle. They arrived at a quiet park, where she stopped the car. The city skyline glimmered in the distance. Lyra turned to him and said, "I wanted to show you something before tonight ends. Just a small glimpse." Ethan looked at her, curiosity and caution battling inside him. "What is it?" She stepped out of the car and gestured for him to follow. As they walked, she pointed to the stars above. But there was something unusual. Certain stars flickered and moved in ways that seemed impossible. "Those aren't just stars," she said softly. "They are gateways, signals, places I have been, places that most humans cannot even imagine." Ethan felt his heart race. "You mean, like, other worlds?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, many, and not all are safe. Some civilizations are peaceful, some not so much. I wanted to see Earth from your perspective, to understand your world." Ethan was speechless. He wanted to believe her, but it was too much to take in. "Why? Why me?" "Because you are human," she said simply. "And humans are unique, brave, stubborn, and full of surprises. I wanted to see if you would notice, if you would care." The wind blew gently, rustling the leaves. Ethan felt a strange connection, a sense that this moment mattered more than he could understand. He realized that tonight was not just a date. It was the beginning of something far larger than himself. Lyra turned to him, her expression serious. "I have to leave soon. My world requires me. But I wanted tonight to be just for us. A small piece of normal." Ethan looked at her, unsure what to say. The fear, the wonder, the excitement, all mixed together. I'm glad you invited me, even if I don't understand everything." She smiled, a genuine warmth that made Ethan feel both small and significant at the same time. "Good. That's all I needed tonight." They walked back to the car, the city quiet around them. Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that his life had already changed. This was not just a blind date. It was the first step into a larger universe, one that he could never have imagined. As Lyra drove him home, Ethan watched the streets blur past, thinking about the stars, about power, and about courage. He realized that humans, with all their flaws and strengths, might have a role to play in something far greater than themselves. And somehow, he knew that Lyra was at the center of it. When she dropped him off, she placed a hand on his shoulder. "Remember, Ethan, not everything is as it seems. But you have what it takes to face the unexpected." Ethan nodded, unsure if he believed her completely. "I will try." She smiled once more, then drove away, disappearing into the night. Ethan stood there, looking after her, feeling a mixture of fear and excitement. He had come for a simple dinner, expecting a quiet evening. Instead, he had met someone extraordinary, someone who would change the course of his life forever. He went inside, sat down at his kitchen table, and stared at his untouched dinner. The ordinary world suddenly felt smaller, less important. Out there, beyond the stars, there were possibilities he could not yet comprehend. And tomorrow, perhaps, he would learn more. For tonight, he could only think about Lyra, the strange, powerful woman who had turned a simple blind date into the beginning of something unimaginable. The next morning, Ethan woke with a mix of excitement and confusion. The events of last night replayed in his mind. Lyra, the woman he had met for a simple blind date, was not just extraordinary. She was something else entirely. He tried to brush it off as a dream, but a strange feeling told him it was real. A knock at the door startled him. When he opened it, he found a small, sleek device floating in the air. It projected a calm, holographic voice. "Ethan Miller, please come with me. There is no time to explain everything here." Before he could ask questions, the device formed a doorway of light. Ethan hesitated, then remembered Lyra's words. Sometimes the unexpected must be faced. He stepped through the doorway and felt a sudden pull, as if he were being lifted through space itself. Moments later, he found himself on a massive ship. unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls shimmered with energy, the floor glowed softly, and corridors twisted in ways that seemed impossible. Lyra was waiting. She looked different now, her presence commanding, her eyes brighter. "Welcome aboard, Ethan," she said calmly. "I see you accepted the invitation." Ethan tried to speak, but words failed him. Where are we?" "Not just a place," Lyra said, gesturing to the view screens that floated midair. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, and countless ships moved like schools of fish. "We are in the Triarian Dominion fleet. My world, my responsibility." Ethan's mind raced. He had barely understood last night, and now this. He tried to keep up as Lyra led him through the corridors. She explained that the Triarian Dominion ruled 3 galaxies. Their civilization was ancient, powerful, and strict. But despite the grandeur, she spoke with a calm humility that made the information easier to digest. "Humans are special," she said. "You survive, adapt, and create in ways even my people cannot predict. Some fear it, some respect it, and some would destroy it if given the chance." Ethan swallowed hard. "You mean Earth is in danger?" Lyra nodded. "There are factions within my empire who see your planet as a threat. They think humans could rise too fast, too unpredictably. I am here to ensure your world survives." Ethan struggled to absorb everything. "And you, why are you showing me all this?" "Because you have a voice that can help," she said. "You are human, and humans listen to humans. I need someone who understands your people, someone who can represent them if negotiations fail." He felt a mix of pride and fear. "Me? I'm just a systems engineer. I don't know anything about politics or diplomacy." "That is why you are perfect," Lyra said simply. "You think like a human, speak like a human, and act like a human. That is what they need to hear." The ship hummed as they moved deeper into space. Lyra showed him the command center, a circular room filled with holographic maps and glowing symbols. Ethan saw fleets of ships, some enormous, some small, and all ready for action. He realized the scale of what Lyra controlled. It was more than power. It was responsibility. "There is a council," Lyra continued. "They govern the Dominion. Some are loyal, some are ambitious, some are cruel. One of them, Admiral Varrox, believes humans are too dangerous to coexist. He has already prepared a strike force to attack Earth. We must stop him." Ethan felt a surge of fear. "And if we fail?" "Then Earth will suffer," Lyra said quietly. "But I have hope. You have hope. That is why you are here." For hours, she taught him about their technology, their history, and their customs. She explained how communication worked across galaxies, how alliances were formed, and how decisions could change entire worlds. Ethan tried to remember everything, but he realized that understanding would take time. Still, he listened, fascinated by the vastness of it all. Later, Lyra brought him to a training area. "You need to learn to survive out here," she said. "You may not need weapons often, but you must understand the environment, the technology, and the risks." Ethan followed her instructions carefully. She guided him through simulations of space travel, conflict scenarios, and emergency situations. He stumbled at first, but she was patient, correcting him calmly. By the end of the session, he felt exhausted, but more capable. During a break, Ethan asked, "Do you ever get scared?" Lyra looked at him thoughtfully. "Sometimes, but fear is a tool. It reminds you to be careful, to respect what you cannot control. But it must never rule you." Ethan nodded, absorbing the lesson. He felt a strange connection to her, not just as a person but as a being who carried the weight of countless lives. He realized that his own fears seemed small compared to the challenges she faced every day. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. Alarms blared. Ethan's heart raced as Lyra grabbed his arm. "They are moving," she said. "Varrox's fleet is approaching the outer colonies. We must act." In the command center, Lyra coordinated with her officers. Ethan watched in awe as ships moved like chess pieces, forming formations and adjusting to threats he could barely comprehend. He understood the stakes now. This was not a game. It was life and death on a galactic scale. Lyra turned to him. "I need you to speak for humanity. You will join me when I address the Council. Your perspective may sway those who doubt us." Ethan felt a sudden surge of responsibility. I'll try." "That is all I ask," Lyra said. "Your honesty is your strength." As they traveled toward the council chambers, Ethan looked out at the endless stars. He realized that he had left his quiet life behind. He was no longer just a systems engineer. He was part of something much larger. He had a role to play, a voice that could protect his world. And he had Lyra by his side, guiding him through the unknown. The council chamber appeared as a massive hall, filled with beings of all shapes and sizes, each radiating power and authority. Ethan's human eyes widened in both fear and wonder. Lyra introduced him, explaining his role and why he was here. Voices rose in debate, accusations and defenses flying. Ethan felt small, but he remembered Lyra's words. He took a deep breath and spoke simply, honestly, about humanity, its resilience, creativity, and courage. He told stories of humans overcoming impossible odds, of their ability to adapt, to survive, and to grow. The chamber fell silent as his words echoed. Some council members scoffed, dismissing him as naive. Others watched closely, moved by the simple truth in his speech. Ethan realized that even a human, small and ordinary by galactic standards, could make a difference if he spoke from the heart. Lyra stood beside him, her expression proud but calm. Together, they had begun to shift the balance of power, not with weapons, but with courage, honesty, and the hope that humans could be more than anyone expected. Ethan left the council chamber exhausted but determined. He had stepped into a world he could not have imagined, and he had taken his first step in protecting his planet. And for the first time, he believed that humans might just survive and even thrive among the stars. Ethan spent the next few hours learning more about the Triarian fleet and its missions. Every corner of the ship was alive with energy and movement. Crews moved efficiently, following commands from holographic displays. Ethan was amazed at how precise and coordinated everything was. Lyra noticed his curiosity and smiled. "You are taking it all in quickly," she said. "Most humans would be overwhelmed." "I think I understand better than I expected," Ethan admitted. "It's incredible." Lyra nodded. "It is, but incredible can be dangerous if misunderstood. That is why I brought you here. Humans are unique, and their perspective can help prevent mistakes." Before Ethan could ask more, the ship's alarm system blared loudly. Red lights flashed as the main screen displayed approaching vessels. Lyra's expression hardened. "Varrox's fleet has moved. They are heading toward Earth." Ethan's stomach sank. "How many ships?" "More than you can count without a machine," Lyra said, her tone calm but firm. "We need to intercept them." She led Ethan to the strategy room, where the fleet's map displayed countless points of light. Each represented a ship moving fast through space. Lyra began issuing commands to her officers, positioning the ships to block Varrox's advance while minimizing risk to human colonies. Ethan watched, fascinated and anxious. "Can we stop them?" "We must," Lyra said, "but it will not be easy. They are powerful and ruthless. They do not follow all rules." She turned to him. "I need you to address the human question. Some council members doubt that your species can handle galactic responsibility. Your words may sway them." Ethan swallowed hard. "I'll do my best." The council meeting began in a massive chamber aboard the command ship. Triarian leaders surrounded him, some towering over Ethan, others floating as if weightless. All eyes were on him. Lyra stood beside him, a calm and powerful presence. Ethan took a deep breath. He began speaking, carefully choosing simple words. He told the council about Earth, about humans' struggles, their courage, their determination to survive. He explained how humans could adapt to challenges, how they learned from mistakes, and how they valued life and cooperation. Some council members were skeptical. They whispered to each other, dismissing his arguments. Others listened intently, clearly affected by his honesty and passion. Ethan felt his confidence grow as he realized that truth and sincerity could reach even beings so different from himself. After he finished, a silence filled the room. Then Lyra spoke, reinforcing his words. Humans are not perfect, but they are capable. They deserve a chance, and they may surprise even the oldest civilizations. Varrox, a large and imposing Triarian, glared at them. This human is naive. You risk your fleets, your colonies, and your authority for a single species that barely understands the galaxy. Ethan met Varrox's gaze calmly. We may be small, but humans are determined. We adapt. And sometimes the smallest spark can start a fire that changes everything. The room grew tense. Varrox turned and left, muttering threats. Lyra's officers murmured among themselves, impressed by Ethan's courage. He realized that, in this moment, he had made a difference simply by speaking honestly. Later, Ethan and Lyra reviewed the fleet's strategy. Varrox is not finished, she said. He may try a direct attack. We must be ready. She showed him simulations of possible battles, teaching him how ships could maneuver and defend themselves. Ethan learned quickly, using simple logic and his human intuition to suggest adjustments. Lyra listened, considering his ideas seriously. She nodded. You think like a human should, and that is valuable. Sometimes thinking simply can solve complex problems. Suddenly, a warning light flashed. Sensors detected a fleet of Varrox's ships breaking formation, moving directly toward Earth. Ethan's heart pounded. Can we stop them before they reach the planet? Lyra's expression hardened. We have to, but it will require precision, courage, and trust. Ethan felt fear, but also determination. He realized that humans, no matter how ordinary they seemed, could make a difference in the vastness of space. He took a deep breath, ready to do whatever he could to protect his world. The fleet moved into position, a magnificent display of coordination and power. Ethan observed from the command center, following every move. He noticed small gaps in Varrox's formation, flaws that could be exploited. Quietly, he suggested adjustments to Lyra, pointing out weaknesses and offering ideas for defensive maneuvers. Lyra considered his suggestions carefully. You may be right. This approach could minimize casualties and delay their advance. Ethan felt a surge of hope. His ideas were being taken seriously. He realized that even a human, a single voice, could influence the outcome of a galactic conflict. As the fleet engaged, Ethan watched in awe. Ships darted through space, exchanging fire and energy bursts. Lyra commanded with precision, guiding the fleet to block Varrox's advance. Ethan felt his pulse quicken. The tension almost unbearable. Suddenly, a warning flashed on the screen. Varrox had launched a hidden attack from a blind spot in the fleet. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He shouted a warning, and Lyra reacted instantly, adjusting the fleet's formation just in time to avoid disaster. The battle raged on, and Ethan continued to provide insight, using simple logic and observation to help Lyra anticipate Varrox's moves. Slowly, the tide began to turn. Varrox's fleet grew disorganized, their attacks less effective. Ethan realized that humans' unpredictable nature could be an advantage. even in a universe governed by strict rules and ancient strategies. After hours of intense conflict, Varrox's forces were forced to retreat. The human colonies were safe, and the Triarian fleet had proven that cooperation and adaptability could overcome even the most powerful adversaries. Ethan felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. He had faced something unimaginable and had survived, not just as a witness, but as an active participant. Lyra approached him, her expression calm but proud. "You have done well, Ethan. Your courage, your insight, and your honesty have made a difference. Humans may be small, but they are capable of great things." Ethan smiled, feeling a newfound confidence. "I never thought I could make a difference, not like this." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "You have, and this is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast, and your people have a role to play." Ethan looked out at the stars, thinking about Earth, about Lyra, and about the possibilities that lay ahead. He realized that even in the face of fear, danger, and uncertainty, humans could rise, adapt, and endure. And with allies like Lyra, they might even thrive among the stars. That night, Ethan slept for the first time since leaving Earth, exhausted but with a sense of purpose. He knew that the galaxy was full of challenges, but he also knew that humanity had a chance to be heard, respected, and remembered. And he would be there, at Lyra's side, ready to face whatever came next.